Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Qifan Ye from National Taiwan University Hospital. I'm going to introduce one of my great mentors from University of Chicago in our mid-master session in 2024 Taiwan Society of Lipid and Atherosclerosis meeting. So here is Dr. Fang Yun from University of Chicago. He's going to our meeting every year, hopefully. So let's discuss several important parts of your career. So Dr. Fang, as I noticed that you graduated from National Taiwan University and then moved to United States and follow your future studies such as in the University of Pennsylvania and then University of Chicago. So what do you have such kind of plan to go to United States at that point?
I think so. After my graduation from college and also after the military service, I was still thinking about what to do with my life. And I think back then, there's a booming for this biotechnology, etc. Right? So I think I was like, oh, maybe I should go abroad to study more. So I think I was actually looking for graduate program on biotechnology, and I ended up finding a few programs, and a lot of them actually are master programs. So I ended up applying for this master program in biotechnology. We got accepted at Penn, so I was able to complete my master degree within 1 year. And later on, so I think United States back then and still now, I think it's a very encouraging environment for young people who are interested in research. So I feel back then, 1 year of training might not be enough. So I end up then applying for the PhD program. So I got into a few PhD programs. I really like University of Pennsylvania. So I ended up getting the PhD in biomedical engineering, etc. So.
Yeah, so you joined the lab with Peter Davis,
right,
which is a master.
Right.
So, but nowadays you are also a very distinguished researcher. From the transition of a young researcher to such a established researcher, what would you take away or suggestion for the young generations, young researchers to develop such kind of career?
So I really attribute all my research endeavor to great mentors, right? So I was able to work with a person whose name is Irina Levita, who is my PhD advisor. We actually are still collaborating, and I did a postdoc with Peter Davis, which has been a leading figure in the field, etc. And one thing I learned from them is that I think you really have to have a curious mind, right? So I think I worked with Peter while he was in 60s, right? He's an international known researcher that actually visited Taiwan quite a few times, and he still have this very curious mind, and I think he always have curious mind and open-minded, right? So I think that's why I learned from them. I think doing research is you really study something unknown, and it's great in the research environment. We'll be able to work with young people, right? So for example, with you. And I learned so much by talking to my colleague, and more important, talking to the people who work with me. I always learn so much. I think that's something I learned from Peter and from Irina, is that you really have to have a curious mind, open-minded to suggestions and collaboration, etc. So.
Yeah, the collaboration and curiosity are very important. So back to your college, postgraduate period and postdoc period. I noticed that you spent like 3 to 4 years to finish your PhD degree, but you spent a lot of time in the postdoc training. So because as you mentioned, the curiosity as well as the mentor instructions are very important for the young researchers to develop. So what the transition in between the PhD students to the postdoc fellow.
Right.
What do you feel, and what you suggest to for the young researchers when you have such kind of transition?
Right. So I was very lucky to spend very little amount of time to get my PhD. I think I really want to thank my PhD advisor. So I think it's very important in academia. I really think the most important thing, one of the most important, is to find appropriate mentors. So I really trust my mentors, and I didn't know anything about the research that I will be conducting, but I really trust her. So she said, trust me, you work on this and you'll learn a lot, and I think you have an interesting future. So I really trust her, listen to her, study, etc. So I think I was lucky to somehow complete a PhD in a very quick time in 3 years. But I think, as you know very well now, since you are transitioned from training to the junior faculty, I think being a junior faculty running a research lab is completely different from running experiment. I really feel like running the research lab is running a small enterprise, right? So you are the CEO, CFO, human resource, and you are the best technician in the lab, etc. So I think in the postdoc training, I really learned from Peter more about how to run a research lab, right? So when you're doing experiment, you can be by yourself, you can learn from others, etc. But you're really the person who is conducting the experiment. But I think running a small lab is really, or running a lab is really running a small enterprise. You have to learn recruiting, you really want to learn how to share a passion with your trainees. You really have to learn how to assemble a great team to work together, etc. So I think that's actually, or you of course have to learn how to communicate better with your colleague in terms of grant writing, paper writing, etc. So I think that's the time I think I spend a little bit more time on the postdoc training, but I think I learned so much by working with Peter in terms of prepare me for a reasonable transition to a junior faculty position.
Yeah, talking about the running the lab. So I noticed you got an award in 2022 from the NIH that you the R35 grant. So I think it's an accomplishment by the whole team in your lab that you can achieve this kind of monument. I noticed this is the first time University of Chicago have this kind of award from the NIH. So how do you develop such achievement by running a great team together to achieve this kind?
So I think that's one of the key, right? So I think the success my lab is really contributed by everybody who has joined my lab, right? So I'm not doing any experiment anymore. So I'm really there to help them to identify gap of knowledge, identify experiment. But I think the key is really to assemble a good things. And I think one thing actually I learned from Peter is I asked him when I just started, it's how should I run my lab? Who should I hire? And he said everybody's different, right? So he is such an open-minded person. He's everybody's different, right? Your time is different from my time. You'll figure out. You just have to trust your training. So I think I really think one thing I did right was really assemble a very strong team. And actually there are quite a few people from Taiwan I recruited too. So I really think we start with a very small group, but they all like each other, they all work with each other, they all care about each other, etc. So I think we have a very good chemistry. I think later on it's much easier after you establish a collegial group to work on, and later on we'll be able to add more senior people, including you, right? And I think the R35 success really speak about how open-minded we are conducting our research, right? So we're really taking suggestion, advice from all the trainees who are interested in moving to the new directions, which is contributed to our great success.
I noticed you got a lot of awards in recent years. So what's the most rewarding moment for you during this journey, the research journey?
I personally think the most fun part of doing research is the discovery itself. I think the moment I feel more excited is really the time we have a new discovery or new inventions, right? So we'll be able to publish quite a few interesting papers, contribute to the society. We'll be able to file quite a few patents, moving the technology forward. I think the discovery itself is a reward, right? I think I enjoy the most when my trainees came to me, including you, to show me these exciting new data. And I think that's the time I really enjoy as a graduate student. When I was doing my own experiment, I enjoy so much when I was now seeing other people's data, because I think this is the moment that you realize I'm the only person in the whole world knowing about this, right? So I think that's the part I still enjoy very much.
Yeah, so I think it's very important to be curious and encouraged by the data you have. So I noticed that you have a lot of collaborations in a lot of studies. For example, the nanomedicine, the epitranscriptome studies. So how do you start with this kind of collaboration? How do you approach these experts in different fields?
So I was fortunate to be trained in a multidisciplinary environment, which means I was trained as a PhD student to work people outside my field, and I was fortunate to get a position at UChicago, which is a very multidisciplinary environment, which means you can interact with locally with really expert in their field. I think the key is that I think most research are curious about things they don't know, right? Like I'm curious about things I don't know. And I think the fun part of doing research is that if you think hard, if you prepare, you can really learn from many things which has been developed in other fields. I think a lot of things we want to solve in our field has been somehow tackled by other fields. So I'm trying very hard to reach out to people, but I think the key is you really have to convince them, right? At least my colleagues, they are all well-established people. The key is that you really have to understand and describe well what they are studying, why they are important, and how you can collaborate with other people. So I think I always keep an open mind when I talk to people. I told my daughters the most important thing in life is to have a curious mind and big heart, right? So I always have curious mind when I talk to people, and usually I think these coffee chat led to a lot of discussion, including discussion with you.
Yeah, I think it is very important. So I noticed that Dr. Fang went to different conference. He would just go for the talk with the people. So sometimes I would just stand by because I don't know them. But even he doesn't know the people, but he is interested in those talks or studies. He will approach to the people, the researchers. I think that's very important to start the collaboration. So. But when you talk about a lot of study done by the whole team member, so what's the bring out or the input for the vascular biology field from your research?
I think I'm glad a lot of my lab member has been contributing. So vascular biology is a field for a few decades now. I think led by a lot of my lab members, including you, I think we'll be able to really going back to apply latest technology, right? So now, for example, we start looking at human genetics because the GWAS studies. We start looking at the epitranscriptome because there's a new molecular control. So these are a new molecular action people discover in other fields, and by working with bright trainees and also excellent collaborator, we'll be able to learn the technology they developed in the last few years to apply to the vascular biology. I think on top of that, in terms of the fundamental biology knowledge we generate, I think we're very excited about this new direction of that we can use these biology-informed information to somehow maybe move toward the treatment of the blood vessel using nanomaterial, etc. That's something we're very excited at this point.
Yeah, so not only you focus on the vascular biology, I noticed you leverage the treatment or nanomedicine treatment therapeutic strategy to other diseases as well. Right. For example, you are looking forward to collaborate with Dr. Yang to treat the fibrotic tissue, fibrosis, etc. Right. So what's the thoughts when you have such a kind of powerful therapeutic strategy to collaborate with others? What comes to you and what you think for the next steps for those treatments?
So we're really coming from that we want this to work, and we understand our limitation in terms of we might be very good in terms of nanomaterial engineering, But end of the day, to make this work, you really want to work with a world expert who knows what are the biology to target, what disease models to test, etc. That's why we reach out to Casey, for example, Kai Jian, to really who has been a world expert in terms of fibrotic diseases, etc. So I think that's a part I really enjoy in my daily life. I was able to work with the smart people in the world, and they all study something, passionate about something for 20, 30, 40, if not 50 years. And by the interaction with them, I was able to educate by then, which they studied for 50 years. And they will tell me that, oh, this is their passion. And I think oftentimes we'll be able to somehow find some mutual interest in terms of biology or treatment, etc. And we'll be able to build up collaboration to move the project forward.
Yeah. So you are recently promoted as a tenure professor at the University of Chicago. So can you talk about a little bit about the University of Chicago for the researchers to develop it there?
Right. So I really like U Chicago because I think the U Chicago is an institute which is known that really appreciate fundamental biology, right? So we have many outstanding researchers. They understand fundamental biology, or it's chemistry, physics, math, economics, etc. So I think this is a place really appreciate understanding of new biology. Which I love, right? I think at the end of the day, I think that's the most fun part. But I think at the same time, because it is a university with many people of different expertise, and we'll be able to really push forward with our own interest in vascular biology. Right? The nanomaterial we engineer are in strong collaboration with material, who is a world expert in terms of nanomaterial, right? So he has established, 50 years or probably 40 years experiences of nanomaterial, and he's quite interested in moving these to more translational settings. We'll be able to have people join our group together to work with Matt and me to further engineer these nanomaterial for clinical problem, etc. I think that's a part I enjoy very much, and as you point out, I think the epitranscriptome studies is a strong collaboration with He Chuan, who is also world expert in terms of epitranscriptome, etc. I think, and nowadays actually a lot of my lab members, postdoc trainees are all commented by another person. I think that's the best way for training to be exposed to different expertise from different labs.
Yeah, I know. So in your lab, you have a lot of postdocs, right, and of course, a lot of PhD students. Right. So how do you advise different postdoc or PhD students for their future development?
Right. So the PhD, I think really, for me, I think PhD is, as a mentor, is a really educational process, right? So I think it is important for the PhD student to identify key research important research problem and solve the problem and get publication. But I think at the end of the day, I think I told my PhD students is that it's an educational process, right? So in addition to producing great papers, great knowledge, I think it's important to learn the methodology, right? So I told my student everything you study now will be old in a year, right? Because the knowledge has been created every single day, etc. But I think the methodology you learn from a PhD you'll carry with you for the rest of your lives. So I really focus on the methodology training for my PhD student in terms of how you can identify important gap in knowledge by reading the literature or digest literatures, how to come up with a testable hypothesis, how you can design experiment to test your hypothesis, how to interpret the result. I think that's very, very important. So I think in the postdoc levels, I think I expect they are more prepared in terms of methodology training. I think later on, I think I really want to focus on other skills important for their future endeavor, such as communicating with the community, participating in the community, grant writing, paper writing, etc. Or mentoring, right? They really have to learn how to mentor their mentees.
Okay, thanks Dr. Fang for this interview in the mid-master. So I thank everybody, and I would like everybody to enjoy this mid-master. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much for the invitation and very insightful discussion. So,
Thank you.
right.